I asked my wife, okay, who's my boss? And she's trying to figure out, well, who's my boss? I'm like, it's not me. I'm like, it's not you. My boss is my calendar. If my calendar's full, that's great. So you look at a builder and say, okay, like, okay, you're building stuff. Like, what does your calendar look like? Even if it's like scheduled in for like half an hour of just reaching out to people, texting people, here's a phone call, and whatever it might be. It doesn't have to be just like class after class after class, but just having a calendar.
Good morning, friends. You were born to create. Creation is in your DNA, and doTERRA just happens to be the very best vehicle for creating whatever it is you want, whether it's better health, time freedom, a cause that you're passionate about, that you were born to create. And this is just a playground where you can choose in at whatever level you want, you can create at whatever level you want, and play in this playground of creation. Super excited to share with you one more story of success because doTERRA is a business. And there is that opportunity to create business success. And that's what Natalie and I chose to do 18 years ago. And we've been creating ever since through the highs, through the lows. And we're passionate about creating a healer in every home. That's why we keep showing up, is for that mission. But the purpose of this call is just to bring more and more stories to you about others who are creating in the space of doTERRA. And today we have a special guest. D. Sefcook is a silver in doTERRA, and he's from Canada. So welcome, D. So D, tell us a little bit about your life before doTERRA. We call that BD. So
Ah,
what were you doing? And yeah, just give us a little backdrop.
so I worked at corporate doTERRA for 10 years. Before that, I was involved with a couple of different startup companies, a couple of different technologies, really trying to do that entrepreneurship side of things. Got a degree in Utah in business management, and then just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And entrepreneurship and creating something was just always just a very much of interest to me. Well, in was it 2014, one of those startups just was running out of money. And it's like, okay, well, I need to go find another job. And my wife's like, well, hey, what about that like doTERRA? Someone just shared oils with her, barely. And I'm like, all right, that's fine by me. I don't really know anything about it. Got a job in member services and was there for about 2 years and then was an account manager for about 8 years. A lot of the time in the Northeast region and mountain regions, most of the time helping silvers, golds, and platinums build their business. And then a little over a year ago, I left to go actually build the doTERRA business for myself. No.
Fantastic. I'm having a flashback now to I think you came to experience doTERRA a few times ago, and we had dinner together.
Yes. I went to experience doTERRA like twice. Once
Okay.
was about 2 years before I left corporate.
Okay.
I actually went with my wife, and we're just kind of, just wanted to kind of explore things a little bit. And then again, just very recently, I brought one of my new builders along there too, and it just had an amazing time there. So I absolutely just love that event.
Awesome.
Um, but
Okay, I'm just putting some pieces together. So you're an old friend. I apologize for not remembering that sooner.
oh
So
no, no, yeah, yeah, you see a lot of people. And so we just yeah, me and my wife just love you and Natalie and how just welcoming you've been, and
uh,
and how you just open up your home, and just I've always loved that. And in fact, yeah, after convention, the last I guess two conventions we've come by your home too for your open house. And so it's just a great way to just meet
awesome.
people and just keep building that belief
Love
as
it.
well, because that's
Yeah.
important.
So it sounds like before doTERRA, even working at corporate, there was some uncertainty with this startup that maybe you didn't love. You wanted to be able to provide for yourself, for your family, and so just not
Mhm.
knowing if this company's going to be around, if there's going to be a paycheck, led you to doTERRA, and then you're working at doTERRA, and you have a lot of exposure as an account manager with field leaders, And after 10 years of staring that in the face, you decide to take the leap. So what was it about the opportunity that
Okay.
that made you
Yeah.
want to leave the safety of a corporate job to be 100% commission-based income? Because that's a pretty big leap.
It's a huge leap, especially as an employee. You can't do both at the
Yeah.
same time. With the conflict of interest. So to do it, you do have to just leave your corporate job. So this goes back to like the first time I went to experience doTERRA a couple of years before leaving doTERRA, when I was exploring the opportunity. And I went through this cycle several times. And I'll talk about this cycle. It was really beautifully just outlined by Tony Robbins, which I saw more recently. And I was like, wow, okay, that's exactly what I was going through. And a lot of people go through this. So stage one of this cycle is satiation, where I had been working at doTERRA at this point for 8 years. And I was satiated by it. I enjoyed what I did. I liked what I did, but I was full. Like I was like, okay, I'm like, I was just not growing like I wanted to anymore. I loved the company, obviously, the people I worked with. But I wasn't growing, at this point anymore. So from satiation, then you go into the stage of dissatisfaction, where you just it's it's annoying and painful some days to go to work. I don't know if everyone's ever experienced that, where it's like, you still have your job, but it's like, oh, man, I can't do this. I just don't want to keep doing this. Um, in the same job, there has to be more. And so from there, you go to this tipping point where it's like, okay, like not another month, not another week, not another day. Something has to change. I need something else in my life. And then from there, you have this insight. That's stage four. You know what? And then you realize, okay, you know what? It's not the company. It's not my bosses. It's not my family. It's not my wife. It's me. Okay. This is on me. Okay. Um, this is all within me, and I need to just make this change. And you come to this insight, and then you come to this like final stage, um, this opening. And the opening is dark. And the reason why it's dark is because you don't know what's on the other side. It's scary. But the thing is, if you don't jump through and just make that change, then you will actually cycle back to step one again, all the way back to getting satiated, going to dissatisfaction, having that tipping point, that insight, and then the opening comes again. And I went through that cycle, I don't know, 3, 4 times before I left doTERRA. And this is a cycle that people go through, like in, let's say, in work, in relationships, in various different parts of your life. And I started to see that, yes, this cycle would come around. And it's like, okay, I get so done, like I want to go do something else that's just too scary. And then I kind of like, okay, I cycle back, like, no, okay, maybe I'll just stay corporate. So that was like for 2 years. And then this, let's see, then November 2024 came along, and I hit my 10-year anniversary at doTERRA. And I was looking forward to that for a while. Like that's a cool milestone. 10 years, same job, almost 8 of it with account management, which I love doing, and hit that 10-year mark. And then it just hit me. And I'm like, I don't want to celebrate another 10 years here. And if I don't want to celebrate another 10 years, I don't want to celebrate one more year. I'm like, no, this is it. I got to go do something else. I have to. I'm not going to have my 20th anniversary here, just still here. Like there has to be more. I got to be able to do more. So it was that time I was like, I'm done. And then it was like 2 months later, I was officially like out and I was a wellness advocate. Um, and so that was just like over and over a journey that I just went through that I feel like, okay, and it's a journey I think a lot of us go through, that it was nice to just recognize the pattern. So maybe it'll be easier to break in other areas. One thing that happened too, the 2 years prior, when we went to experience doTERRA with my wife, was she had this epiphany as well. So we had spent years struggling with unexplained infertility, trying to have more kids. And while there and learning about some people were speaking there, um, my wife realized, you know what? I gotta really dive into just some natural options for this. Like she was doing natural stuff, but we've seen several infertility specialists, done procedures, tests, nothing was happening. They don't know why she can't get pregnant, honestly. She's like, look, I just need to go full in. Like, let me really dive in to these natural remedies there. With then it was like, the LLV and some oils and things, and got with a doTERRA leader, connected with her to do some blood work and analysis there, and be okay, what natural stuff can we do? How can we heal the body? After just we go years without being pregnant, and then there'd be some miscarriages. Um, but after going like all natural and just healing her body, she was pregnant 3 times in 18 months. The
Wow.
first two ended in miscarriages, and the third one is our baby girl that just turned 10 months old now.
Wow.
So
Congratulations.
it's just a huge change in what happened. So we have a 15-year-old son and a 6-year-old daughter and a 10-month-old daughter
Wow.
now. So we got these gaps. And so that was like, oh wow, okay. It really built up that belief as well. And then she had this like toe issue where she had this painful toe. She saw a couple different specialists who couldn't figure out why. Said another unexplained toe issue. And then I told her, and this was before we even started working on the infertility natural stuff with doTERRA. And I told her, let's do a detox. And this was like a 30-day detox back then. Like, let's do it. She did it twice. And the swelling went down, the pain is gone, it's never come back. And I was like, okay. Like, and you have these experiences. And as an account manager, I just would see a lot of experiences from people and hear about them from products and business. That was always right there staring at me, that this is really an opportunity to go and just share with people and help other people who may be experiencing, similar issues. And so that was a big drive to like be like, okay, like it's still like super scary, incredibly scary to make that leap,
Mm.
to leave your job, but it was just so much experience and belief that really drove that.
Wow. Oh my goodness. That's incredible. So much to digest there, but I want to keep going with your story. So you make the jump. You've left corporate, you left the safety of, a base income, you've left the safety of all the health insurance and all the cool benefits that come with that. And now you're 100%, in the jungle of commissions only income. Tell us about your journey here.
Yeah, it's people would say, it's like, wow, you got such an advantage being an account manager for so many years. You have all this insight, and it's like it's true, but it's so different when it's boots on the ground and you're actually like, okay, let's put theory into practice. I feel like as an account manager, you have this like 10,000-foot view. And you're
Mhm.
looking at it, and you're like, okay, I can see things you can't, and I'm helping navigate. But when you're like down there in the jungle, weed whacking and making your way through. I mean, it's hard, and there's a lot of learning that comes from that experience. So I've had, a lot to learn from that there. And I'm so me personally, I'm very, looking at the strengths assessment. my top 12 strengths are all executing and analytical, except for my fifth strength, which is input, my relationship one. Um, so I'm very much just like, I get stuck in analysis paralysis.
Mm.
I plan, I'm deliberative. My number one strength is discipline, which is I'm very organized. I like to organize information. Um, and so like definitely an advice for people is to definitely don't get caught up with that. I absolutely envy people who can just say, you know what, I'll just figure it out as I go. Let me just go do it. I'll figure out later. I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't do that. And I wish I could do that better. And so that's something I've had to work on is like, let's just go and do. Um, but holding classes, I love holding classes where I spent time, designing, let's say like a foundational wellness class. I love the foundational wellness. That was a big um, drive for me is to teach foundational wellness because that and the 90-day detox is so transformational. So I really just pour into that, you know, with the essential oils, foundational wellness, and then targeted solutions. I mean, we've heard that so many times, and it's just worked so well teaching that to people.
Awesome. So it sounds like you've built your business primarily through classes and you've led out with foundational wellness. Is that
Hmm.
is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Just a lot of one-on-one, small groups, mostly Zoom classes
Okay.
there. Um, Little thing that not many people know about me is that I'm legally blind.
Wow.
So a little bit about that. So essentially what that means for me is I'm very, very nearsighted. So
Wow.
I don't drive. I can't drive. And so getting around to people and places and travel and such is definitely more difficult. So I've had to, rely more on, phone calls and voice messages and Zoom to do classes and follow-ups that way, and less in person. Um, so, which is nice. I mean, I'm able to get comfortable because when I left my corporate job to do this, I was like, okay, I've never just had a Zoom class. I've never done this. I never had classes. So it was just learning and the doing on there where I would practice with family to run through things, get the feedback. I'm like, okay, can you hear me okay? Am I look okay? How's the slides? How's this? Was this compelling? Was this, and just so much practice to it. And so
Mm.
um that's that's where like a lot of the education came from.
Wow. I had no idea. Legally blind, and you've figured it out. Like you got creative and did stuff on Zoom, and that's I can't imagine what a trial that's been to overcome.
I was, born that way, and people always ask how long, and so I don't know any different with that, which is nice. And so you just adapt,
Yeah.
and I talked to leaders as account manager, where one was, I think, blind. Talked to her briefly, and other people have these struggles, and it's just amazing. We all just find ways to make it work. Great.
Wow, that is so inspiring. Um, so tell us more about and I do want to share one thought that I had as you were sharing. Um, I think maybe all of our owners came from other companies, and so they bring with them all of this experience from network marketing. Whether it was um, Young Living or New Skin or so much various experience that they bring to the table. Well, Corey Lindley, who I think spent 25 years at New Skin, and he was the CFO, he was the CEO of China. So this guy knows New Skin inside and out, right? So one thing that he told me that I thought was fascinating is In his 25 years of experience, he never met a single person who went from working at corporate to building the business in the field. Not one. In fact, he would have employees who would come to him and be like, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think?" And guess what he would say? He would say, "Don't do it." He was like, "I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole." And you know why? Nu Skin has a pretty ruthless comp plan in the sense that, like, if you ever build up to what's executive in their team, and if you ever drop back, you can never come back. It's like once you're fallen from grace, there's no returning. It's like you lose your status forever. And so, same, imagine if you're building like a gold team, or I guess who needs executive? Yeah, gold would need six executives under their premiers. Um, that's that's like mission impossible to to be able to sustain. And so I just think it's fascinating that you saw the vision. doTERRA, I could rattle off dozens of people in your shoes who have left corporate to work in the field, and it's just a different animal here. Corey has family members who have come to him and they're like, "Yeah, I want to build this doTERRA thing as a business." And he's like, "Yeah, I think you should." So what he's coaching people here in doTERRA is a 180-degree turn from what he coached people to do in Nu Skin. And it's because it's a different animal. It's a different beast. So what are your thoughts on that?
Wow.
Any
Yeah, that's
commentary?
I didn't know that story. I mean, that's amazing. And spending years teaching people about the compensation plan,
Hmm.
you really know it, and it's a testament to the founders and creating a plan that was just so beneficial to those out there, just selling the product, making a business out of it. And I mean, direct selling or network marketing, whatever, name you want to give it, you know, a lot of it has a bad reputation from
Hmm.
people. And a lot of it isn't, undeserved because of like, compensation plans like that and tactics people have used. And so it is, it was so nice to see doTERRA,
Hmm.
with that because if it was like a new skin type of style, then yeah, I'm sure there's no way I would have done it, but just to see the success and help people build that success for years and
Yeah.
train them and teach them about placements and the compensation plan, personal
Hmm.
development, all sorts of strategies that it was like, okay, it's right here and such a wonderful opportunity for people. Or, I tell people, I mean, it's just about for anybody to
Yeah.
just to be able to do whether it's just a thing on the side or full time. I mean, network marketing, I like how Eric Worre puts it. Eric, network marketing isn't perfect. It's just better.
Yeah. It's a great phrase. Yeah, I love that. So we've had some questions come through in the chat. Um, First of all, they love that you have discipline number one. That's uh, that's fantastic. I actually don't hear that too often from doTERRA builders being their number one strength, but I love that. Um, One question Virginia asks is, how do you find people? So you're probably not like actively recruiting all of your colleagues that worked with you at doTERRA. So where do you find people?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. And that's always kind of the biggest thing, right? Is to find people um and especially find people to just to want to build because we'll all have this idea in our head. And I think like when someone's being presented about the doTERRA business, we're mentally going through our minds saying, okay, like how many people do I know? How many names do I have? I have five, do I have 10?
Mhm.
And if the number's not big enough, then they don't want to make that jump. And it's like this mental battle in there. And you don't, it's just, I see people have success and myself without knowing that many people. Um, you don't need to know that many people, especially even to get started. But you have your names list, which is a growing, living document. Okay. Always, always be using off of that. Always have it written down in some form and always be adding to it. Always making connections with people. I see successful leaders too who will sign up people, talk to people when they are checking into a hotel or at the airport, wherever it might be. Now, for me personally, this probably comes from me being very analytical. I am very introverted, and so my biggest limiting belief was actually to get out of my own way, just be able to talk to people about doTERRA and not be afraid of what the outcome of that would be there. And so it's really just talking to people. Talk to as many people as you can. Um, my upline had a lot of success going to businesses, chiropractors, and such. And so now that I'm up here in a whole new country and city and such, now I'm going to be going out and approaching different businesses to do lunch and learns and to teach. If I could teach the business owner or the staff, whoever I can, if I can get 30 minutes of their time and teach about it and just get into those businesses that way, reaching out, calling them up, going in person. Um, and so it always seems like whoever talks the most wins. You just have to, I guess, be out there and talking. I liked in leadership retreat where it was talked about the how many leaders were in these different locations and states and how much more opportunity there really is and how things aren't concentrated, how there's still you can go to like a state and there's still like over 95, 98% of the people like aren't with doTERRA. Most of which never heard of it. And so it is just lots of conversations. So for me personally, I'm the kind of guy where I'm happy just to be just in the background and quiet. And I think a lot of leaders are like that. A lot of speakers are like that. I learned about, with Jim Rohn, you know, big public speaker, very influential. But if you ever like went and just had dinner with him, spent time with him, just super quiet, keep to himself. Like there's just no conversation happening. And I feel like that's where a lot of us, especially as introverts, I think most of us are introverts. Because extroverts just they recharge their battery in crowds and stuff. I'm like, no, I think most of us recharge your battery in a different way, being quiet. But you can tap into those other strengths for a time. And that's something I had learned where, okay, some of these other influential and relationship strengths aren't in my top 12, but I can still use them. I'm not just living in there. They're not, they're not fueling me, but I can still, use them for a time.
Mm.
And I found that's worked really well. And then you just got to recharge your battery how you need to.
I love that. So it sounds like there's no secret formula. You're just playing the numbers game. Like we all have a contact list. We all know some people. It's just I love what you said. It's the top leaders have just talked to the most people. It's that simple.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is. It's really a game that way. Just get out there and one thing I'd learned is, and it's funny because when I first left, I asked my wife, okay, who's my boss? And and she's trying to figure out, well, well, who's my boss? I'm like, it's not me. I'm like, it's not you. My boss is my calendar.
Mm,
If if my calendar's full, that's great. But and so you look at a builder and say, okay, you're building stuff, like what does your calendar look like?
mm,
Even if it's like scheduled in for, you know, like half an hour of just reaching out to people, texting people, here's a phone call, and, whatever it might be. Doesn't have to be just like class after class after class, but just having a calendar. And one thing that helped me was time blocking. And it took me a while to get that working for me as well. Because I figured, well, that's a simple concept. Not so much. It was more like, okay, I use my Google Calendar and I would say, okay, here's my week and here's these blocks of times for doing things. But stuff always goes over or comes up or things. So the nice thing is you just move the blocks around. I'm like, okay, this one took longer. And you just have to like really, and that was like a hard thing for me too, because adaptability is not near my top. I don't know where it is. Consistency is my number three. So I had to learn to, okay, be adaptable, to just going with the flow because that would find me the most stress because I'm working from home. I've got three kids. Two of them are homeschooled. So like we're always home. And so there's a lot that could just come up and be distracting. So being adaptable was a skill I had to learn with this.
Powerful. Love that. I want to speak to this point of, I don't know enough people. And almost every prospect I've ever talked to who's thought about doing the business has had this concern. I don't know enough people. Did you guys know that the average person in America, anyways, the average person knows 600 people? Okay. If you had to go through, and make a names list of everyone you've ever known, your Facebook friends, your followers, like your everyone, your family friends, your church friends, your work friends, like everyone knows 600 people. So if you know 600 people and you're actively working that names list, how many people do those 600 people know? On average, 600. So I want everybody to pull out their calculator. And I don't know why this simple little math problem blows people's minds, but I want you to take 600 and multiply it by 600. What do you think the answer is? Most people think the answer is 36,000, but go ahead and do 600 times 600. What do you get?
360,000.
360,000. So just going from your warm market to their warm market, that's just one level, right? Just you to them and to their warm market, 360,000 people are in that, the warm market of your warm market. So that's the power of our business model is you don't have to know a bajillion people. You don't have to have 20,000 followers on Instagram. You don't have to have, influence by the world standards. Like the average person can do this business because literally from your warm market to theirs, over 250,000 people. And that's how this business works. And it keeps working over and over and over if people work it. So it's a simple but powerful principle. So I love what you said about it being a numbers game. It all comes back to numbers, and people who are actively growing have an active names list. People who have put their names list. Oh yeah, I did that back when I launched. Well, how's your business doing now? So simple, but
Yeah,
so
yeah.
powerful.
I mean, it's so like Andy, and this is something I like to ask, leaders, especially back when I was account manager. It's like, okay, how many people are in your downline? Like for you, massive downline, this point, huge downline. You think, okay, how many people are in that downline or a silver, gold? How many people are in downline now? When you got started, how many of those people did you know? Did you
Yeah,
actually know?
right. Less than 100.
Right?
Yeah,
And then you have thousands of people in your
yeah,
organization. I don't tens of
yep.
thousands. I don't know what your number is, but
We're at 2.4 million now.
2.4. Yeah, and you knew like 100 people when
Right.
you got started.
Yeah. So how much credit can I take for our doTERRA business? Very, very little, right? Like you just keep talking to people. In other network marketing companies, when you're mentoring someone, you only ask one question. How many times have you told the story? So when we say story, we mean like the message, right? And in other companies, there's like the story of the company, and then there's your story. that's what they mean by the story, right? So that's just having the conversation, right? Just talking to people about their health, asking them, are they open to natural solutions? Are you open to trying natural solutions? And tell me about your health. Like that's telling the story. That's it's all we do, and it's just a numbers game.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. It's just you have different stories. It's like I started with the story of like my wife's toe issue and infertility. You have a business story, how you like you're doing this as a business, and all these different stories and experiences where it's like, okay, you just have that ready to go. And I love it where you're talking to somebody and it could be seasonal allergies or whatever, just kind of comes up. It's like, are you open to a natural option here to try that? And so um you just pivot the conversation that way, just
Yep.
make it natural.
Totally. So somebody in the chat I noticed was super curious about your wife's fertility journey. Could you tell us more about? I know you touched on this, but can you give us a little more detail about what you guys did and what you feel like moved the needle for you there?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So all three of our kids have come naturally without, I mean, we saw three different infertility specialists over the years and tried different tests, did 12 or 13 IUIs, which are to help you, get pregnant. I think one of them worked and ended up in a miscarriage, if I remember
Mm,
right. So just struggling, and I just couldn't figure out why. I mean, the doctors would just say you just need to do IVF, and we're like, okay, well, IVF is really expensive
mm,
and not guaranteed to work either.
mhm.
So with my wife, it's like, okay, we go through and we did. Um, so my upline is Dr. Natalie Underberg, and she actually works with, she was used to be known as the PCOS doc. Now she's like really focused on helping people with their fertility. And so since I was working with her as her account manager, and I know she was involved with this, I'm like, okay, what should we do? She put in a requisition, or whatever it's called, to test my wife's blood, with a bunch of different things. And then she came back, looked at it, said, okay, you need to be on some certain supplements. And because of what she needed. And it was amazing how like infertility doctors weren't even testing for some of this stuff. Um, so my wife could definitely like talk more about that. But it's like, okay, well, now we just need to go and just start removing toxins from our life, just a bit at a time, go through a detox, get on natural supplements. So like LLV at the time for the lifelong vitality. And, and she was using some oils. So I know um and this is an invitation too. If anyone has any questions about anything I'm saying here, especially about infertility or anything, definitely feel free to reach out to me on social media because, we're happy to just talk through like any specifics and that as well. Because it was like going through and just going naturally on on the supplements and just really and I just tell people, let's get your organs functioning how they're meant to function. These are self-healing organisms here. And so we just need them to function properly. So let's fuel them with what they need and let's like, give them what they need and remove the bad. And just from that, she was able to start getting pregnant. I mean, she has only one functional ovary. She, um, and then it's just like a lot of unexplained. I couldn't figure out, okay, well, you're technically can get pregnant half the months, but it just wasn't working. And then all of a sudden, okay, it became a lot easier once we just started getting on this natural supplements.
Wow, amazing.
But
So
definitely, I'd
powerful, right?
recommend to people, I mean, someone who's struggling with infertility, they don't know what to do that 90-day detox. Really do that. Start removing toxins from your life and then just be on foundational wellness. Like step number one.
Yeah, love that. My wife, I can't even count the number of times she's told people the oils don't heal anything. They just support the body and the body heals itself. Like that's how bodies were designed. They are self-healing when they have what they need. when we're, putting in enough of the good stuff and getting rid of the bad stuff. Like it's literally that simple. So hence the importance of the whole 90-day reset, like the cleansing that we promote. You got to get the bad stuff out, and you just can't avoid the bad stuff nowadays. Like it's everywhere. So getting the bad out, getting the good in, and the body will do miracles.
Yes, absolutely. That's what we found is just you need to reboot your body,
Yeah,
let it function properly. You'll have more energy, more clarity. So many elements, like just like my wife's painful toe. They couldn't figure out what to do. Just like you would be amazed, what would happen just from being on foundational wellness. Just the
yeah,
probiotic is you can talk about that for hours on what that could do
totally.
for you. I mean,
Love it. Love that so much. All right, well, I want to open this up to questions. Um, so if anybody on this call wants to raise their hand and come on, ask D questions. Do you have a minute to answer any questions, D?
yeah, however long. And I can't read the chat unless I kind of get off camera and put my face up to the screen. So if there's
Yeah.
anything you want to point out.
Somebody asked for your social media so they could follow you. So I hope you're okay. I sent them a link to your Facebook.
Okay,
And
great. Yeah, because I'm mostly on Facebook. I
okay.
don't do that much on Instagram. I'm still learning this social media
Yep, I know.
on that.
It's
But
it's it's a
yeah.
black hole, man.
But
There's
definitely like Facebook. Yeah, just yeah, message me, friend me or things. I'm just happy to jump on a call or chat, answer
okay.
questions.
I'll post that to everyone for anyone who wants to give D a follow. Okay. So raise your hand if you want to come on live and ask any questions. Um, or you can put in the chat. Paula says, what strategy are you using to reach out to businesses? I think you mentioned that your upline, one thing you liked about them is they actively are recruiting.
Mhm.
Can't remember if you said spas, but businesses was really their core. So
Yeah. Her
what
core was like chiropractors.
chiropractors?
It seemed like they're very
Awesome.
open to natural,
Yep.
options, very much so. So I just, talk to them, ask for kind of the business owner or the decision maker of the business. It could be massage therapy office, whatever it might be, and just ask if I can come in and share some
Hmm.
natural, options that would really pair well with their business there. And a lot of times you have to just kind of like, okay, you get to the point where at the very least, hopefully you can get there to at least give some samples. I'll
Yeah.
jump throw in some samples and like a letter explaining what each one is.
Hmm.
Very depends on the person too. It might be like recharge. I just did one with the recharge, the VMG, the deep blue rub. Um, and just to kind of here's no explanation and then just follow up and you just have to be following up and this there could be a lot of touches to get to the point to where you're having a class with them, invite to come back and just talk to them for 20 minutes about it, but just have to just keep contacting and asking
Mm.
about that. And I'm always refining my strategies. AI is great for that. Really
Mm.
explain down things. And it's like, how do I approach, this type of business? And like, here's the steps. Now, how do I do my follow up? And,
Hmm.
it's an amazing resource.
Awesome. I love that so much. Yeah, businesses do take a lot of follow up. And we've got Dr. Christine on here who says hello from a Georgia chiropractor. So she gets you. I know Melody Watts has also built a huge business just approaching chiropractors. She's a double
Well,
diamond.
and that's who I'm referring to as my
Oh,
upline.
cool. Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Very much chiropractors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. ChatGPT is an amazing resource for that.
hmm Yes, yeah, really dive into that. That's a tool that we should all be using in our business. Get
Yep.
whatever when it is. Kind of like use ChatGPT a lot. I'm kind of switching over to Gemini
Mhm.
um there, but whatever you're going to use, just let it get to know you and your
Mhm.
business. and what you're doing and just have these conversations. And I
Hmm.
mean, it could be just simple as like your text messages to people. I would just say, okay, here's a little our conversation. This is like what I want to say, and it always improves what I'm gonna say.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. Amen to that. It's a great, great resource. Don't let it replace your thinking, but let it help you with your first draft. Let it help you with a brainstorm, right?
mhm.
Our natural intelligence will never be replaced by AI. There's artificial intelligence, and there's natural intelligence. So keep them in their lanes, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's a tool. Got to
Yeah,
utilize it.
exactly.
Mhm.
Okay, Wendy's asking, is there a replay I can listen to? So your best bet to watch a replay ASAP is on YouTube. So if you go on YouTube and you search up Share Success, that's the name of our channel. This is streaming live to that channel, and you can start watching it right now. So that's your best bet. Okay, Jeff says, how long have you been growing your doTERRA business? So I know that you've built a silver. So congratulations on that. That's huge. But Jeff is asking how long you've been building.
Yeah, since I left corporate on January 17th, 2025, and started building January 18th, 2025. My very first class, which was like with like family and friends, was held right there at the corporate office, in fact. And so that's where I've launched. Although it's been hard. So the last few months have really been slow because of moving to a new country and immigrating. I'm a dual citizen. I actually grew up in Calgary, Alberta. Got my kids dual citizenship, but my wife's not. And so it's been just a lot to go through, um, over these last few months. So it's nice. And that's the benefit of having a doTERRA business is you can move somewhere, you can deal with what you need to deal with on things, and then and then just jump right back in and or just do what kind of timing you need to do there, which is just a beautiful thing.
Awesome. Love that. Okay, another question. Um, okay, Wendy says, I'm doing the cleanse right now. I did it about 4 years ago and had awesome results. Um, oh, uh, she's just saying when cleansing that she has some tips for anyone if you have any kind of cleansing reactions. Okay, Rosie's asking, does your wife build a business with you? And next question, what percentage of your work um, and what percentage is her work if she is building with you?
Oh, good question. It's mostly all me on there. I mean, it's I've utilized her a little bit, and I'm hoping to utilize her more in the future. Especially now, care. But it is like she speaks so well to it just to have her come on and talk about her experience or
Mm.
something. But I'm the one, kind of designing and holding the classes and following up and doing the whole business. So it's definitely like kind of a 90-10 on there. But I'm sure like over time that'll change.
Awesome. Um, and Michelle says, did you choose your upline? I think you've spoken to that. So maybe tell us how you chose your upline. Because when you're an account rep, you probably have access to the back office and you can see stuff that nobody else can see, I'm guessing, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
You got
it's
data.
definitely it's definitely like being a free agent. It's like, but what team do you want to join?
Uh-huh.
And so yeah, it is, and I know like I like Amy Fulmer talks about that too, because she was
Yep.
a similar thing, not working at corporate, but and others where it's like, okay, you're looking to join doTERRA. What team do you want to join? Mostly it's like you just join because you join the person who introduced it to you, friend, a family, or something. But in my case, it's like, okay, well, I mean, I can join anybody. And so I had some conversations with leaders, and just want to see like who I resonate well with. Um, and just to, and there were so many good picks. I mean, there's so many people that I would have loved to just work with, you know, too. And there's some that I still have communications with that aren't, I'm not on their team, but, we definitely keep in contact. But yeah. But as an account manager, you do have access to all sorts of information. I mean, I met with Matt Hall at
Mhm.
corporate, and he gave me some really great advice, on it. And you want an upline who's going to give you, the time, the energy, and was it time, energy? I can't remember the third one now. But yeah, and so it was just it was a good process. It was unique coming from my experience and place.
So you chose Melody Watts. Tell us why you chose Melody.
Melanie is just a phenomenal leader. Double diamond, and works with the businesses. So Melanie is 2 levels above me, and my direct upline is Dr. Natalie Underberg, and she's the
Mhm.
one I mentioned who did, read, got the blood tests and read them for us and got us on a protocol and really helps with fertility and such. And so, um, just a beautiful group, there to just be involved with there.
Awesome.
There's people and very knowledgeable.
Fantastic. Okay, we have another question. Are you finding new customers online or just people through your warm market, people you meet?
Good question. It's been mostly just like warm market, kind of contacts from contacts to contacts and just going that way. But yeah, could start utilizing more online, more learning about attraction marketing, and really getting more of a presence online because I'm like, that's what I want to do. I want to just start making videos and having that presence because I think that it's definitely more intensive and a longer strategy. I think over time it will, do well for my business. I think for most people as well. And so but my downline, women, she's like, oh, you do great. You should be making YouTube videos. And I'm like, oh, I don't know, but I think I'll just get into just making videos. I love to just get information out there and just add value. I just always tell people. In fact, my favorite, little side note, my favorite quote that I would tell leaders on our strategy calls is, and this from Albert Einstein: strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value. And I'm like, that is just like building doTERRA business. Exactly. Because the success will come as you're adding the value. Just add value to people.
So true. Just be of service, right?
Mhm.
Okay, Rosie asks, top tips to encourage men or husbands to seriously consider our comp plan and doTERRA as a business.
Oh man. Um, I'd say men can be tougher to come around on, well, the products, I would say, and the comp plan. I think a lot of it is once they see money coming in, then they start to realize there's something here. So that's usually a lot of indicator that way. But
I've heard it said that when you're working with your husband, um, there's inevitably going to be oils that really turn them off, right? Like they're 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 not going to love the smell of all the oils, but I've never met a man who doesn't love the smell of money.
I
So
know, right? Yeah, it's like if this makes money, great, go for it.
yeah, right.
Kind of thing.
Totally.
So it's like I think it depends on it depends on the person. It's just like, do you just kind of sit down and explain the comp plan? Because a lot of them's like, okay, that looks great, just like an investment opportunity. Oh,
Yeah,
it looks great, but here, show me the money. Like, let's see.
exactly.
So it's that's where it's great to like look at other people who are doing it as well
Yeah.
and see what the success they've had and be look, here's like some major potential here.
Mhm.
Um, with what doTERRA can do. And if you don't have to even understand the comp plan, most people don't understand the comp plan until they actually are getting a check. Then you
Hmm.
start to realize, oh, what's happening here?
Yeah.
There's a lot that you don't need to know about. Um, so
Yeah.
so so it is. And so until you're making money and you're trying to convince your husband, your spouse, yourself to do it, and just really look at other people and what they're doing. Because
So
doTERRA is
true.
full of success stories.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't need to have your own success story, right? Like lean on other stories. Um, we've got the Leadership Magazine. We've got amazing YouTube videos. If you go to sharesuccess.com/videos, you'll see all of our favorite videos. It starts with product and then business, but there's a whole section at the bottom of leader stories. So yeah, lean on other people's stories for sure. Okay, the question above about cleansing reactions. Um, Wendy was asking, can the cleanse be too harsh for some people's situations? So, cancer or compromised immune system or, pregnant women, children or teen. What would you have to say about the cleanse and not going overboard?
Okay. I feel like I need Lauren Bush to come on here and
Yeah, right.
or,
That's great.
so um it's and it's great because I've learned a lot just talking to people like Dr. Von Watts, great resource, and others in doTERRA, and found that the 90-day reset I think is great for about like 80% of people. Definitely adult sized people. Start with that. Um, Children can be on a like a detox, but it just needs to be closely more monitored. And then for people who have like certain health conditions and ailments, it's more like just to sort of there's nothing, you want to start more gradually. Start with month one. Month one, I don't think there's anything in there that could do like harm so much, unless somebody has some kind of allergicness or something. But you start with month one and you don't even move to month two, which is the actual cleansing part, until you at least have one bowel movement a day. To start with that because we need to detox your body. A lot of the reactions people have from detoxing is because they're recirculating the toxins through their body and they're not actually getting them out of the body. So I tell people like at least one a day, 2 to 3 day, great. That's your biggest detox pathway. Be doing that. And if that's not happening at the end of month one, repeat month one again because we want a good experience in month two as we
Mm.
really do that detoxing. And then from there, um, just like have the person you monitor them, and just see, okay, how is it going? Um, with this. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to be sick and this and that. You really, a lot of times don't need to be as long as you're able to detox well. And so,
Right.
and detoxing again it's a daily, we're doing it 24/7. Our body's always detoxing. I start every morning with a mineral sea salt with revitazine oil and lemon oil. And I used to do it just in water.
Mhm.
But now I out 2 weeks ago, I switched to saying, okay, instead of just doing that in the water, I'm going to do that in like water with VMG plus first thing in the morning. And I found a difference in my energy level. First thing in the morning, throwing that in there. So VMG plus, a pinch of a very good mineral sea salt. Don't just go for like a pink Himalayan, whatever, sea salt. I like Baja Gold. I know Gary Brecka is a huge proponent of that too. And so I like the Baja Gold mineral sea salt. And um, because that's just it's like a cheap detox biohack, which I
Hmm.
love there. And then the oils and yeah.
Love that. That's so powerful. Kayla adds that she went to an unplugged event where Dr. Riggs recommended that people with autoimmune start with DDR prime and VMG plus for months, then gradually add in PB restore once their body has a foundation, then move into the cleanse. So similar. to what you're saying, right? Lay a foundation, um, and make sure your body's ready to cleanse. But yeah, like you said, I can probably count on one hand the people who have needed any kind of before phase to start cleansing. So it's really doable for 9% of the population. Also, Laura Jacobs said, we were just talking the other day, she said, um, when people do have cleansing reactions, 98% of the time, it's because they're drinking colas. So caffeine is the first thing that will wreck your cleanse. So if you really want to get the bang for your buck, get the most out of your cleanse, just cut out the caffeine. So because people will start getting, cleansing reactions, maybe headaches, other side effects. So um, it was caffeine that was the
That makes
bad
sense
news in
because
that story.
most of us are dehydrated as it is already.
Yeah,
And so you want to stay hydrated through the cleanse, and then the
yeah,
caffeine will just be dehydrating you.
right.
Get in there.
100%. Okay, somebody asks, what is the binder in the 90-day cleanse? Um,
Well,
I don't think
doTERRA
technically,
doesn't have a binder
right. But
on there.
yeah,
So
from
there's different binders that are options that are out there. And I think it could kind of depend. I mean, in an ideal world, I would say to people, get tested even
yeah,
beforehand for mycotoxins, heavy
yeah,
metals. Like, let's kind of see maybe what's happening there
right,
as well. And then that can adjust, okay, maybe what kind of binder what you want to use.
right.
Try and remove those toxins as well.
Yeah. I mean, if I were you, I would just use doTERRA's fiber, right? Just add some fiber to your daily regimen and run with that.
Nice.
Okay, somebody was asking me to type in what Dr. Riggs recommended. I think that's what they're asking. So I just posted that to everyone. But yeah, you can go back and rewatch this on YouTube if you want to get the instant replay. Awesome. Well, Dee, you've been so generous with your time, and I don't know about everybody else, but I am super inspired by your story and your personal experience, jumping in from from the entrepreneurial world to corporate doTERRA and then jumping corporate to the field. Um, Thank you so much for sharing your journey, and we will be cheering for you every step of the way. All the best with everything you're up to and moving forward the goodness that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thank
Awesome.
you.
And thank you everyone for joining. Sending blessings to all of you. Um, and yeah, we will look forward to seeing you all next time. Take care.